Cathie Wood said that it's probably between 2026 and 2030 when we will see that price hike of crypto from $40,000 to $1 million. Cathie Wood worries that people didn't believe her when she said this on stage recently at Bitcoin 2022. In the financial world, Cathie Wood is notorious for her wild price projection. She has devised yet another simple approach to turn $3,650 into $100,000 and then $36,000 into $1 million. But as she said previously, this will only happen if buyers have the financial means to buy and retain Bitcoin for at least 4 to 8 years. She believes Bitcoin is consolidating at current levels and offering the best value for money. Before a huge bull market begins, there is an opportunity to accumulate at cheap rates. $3,500 invested today will be worth $1 million tomorrow. She says that investors can purchase using a dollar cost averaging method, which involves buying in little increments of $100 to $200. If her prognosis of a $1 million Bitcoin price comes true, as it did with her $5,000 Tesla stock price projection, a substantial number of ordinary Americans will become millionaires in a brief period of time. According to our research, Cathie's projections make sense because Bitcoin acceptance is fast expanding, and a big number of institutions are now accepting Bitcoin and offering Bitcoin-based retirement savings and investing programs. If you want to learn about her strategy and reasoning, pay attention to what she says in converting $36,500 to $1 million. But first, a brief request from us. Do like the video and share it with your friends so that they can benefit from this advice as well. Also, don't forget to subscribe and push the bell notification button to keep yourself updated about all things crypto. Back to Cath. She has said in an interview that many people think, okay, so you're assuming that institutional investors become huge holders of Bitcoin. Well, no. In her words, we're not assuming though that they will move in gradually. But by the time we hit $1 million, they will have at least 2.5% exposure to Bitcoin. And this is a big idea that is such a small allocation. She thinks investors will regret not having more because, as in her words, it is a big idea that her mentor Art Laffer also remarked on. He stated that this is exactly what he was looking for. Monetary policy based on rules. It may not be the best regulation, but it's a start, Cathie says. And what he really means is that it's a fantastic store of value, since mathematically, it's metered to stop at 21 million units. So there is a quantity rule scarcity, which means it's not a great means of exchange, meaning it could lead to a fiat price, but they believe that over time, owing to the Lightning Network, it will become more of a means of exchange and a unit of account playing all three roles of money. Cathie recollects that when their analysts were collaborating, she remembers asking Art how big all of this could be. He replied that this is amazing, and he retorted, how big is the US monetary base in the first place? He said it was $4.5 trillion, and that number is $9 trillion today, which is a very big deal. It was $4.5 trillion back then, and Bitcoin's market valuation was $6 billion. Now, it's $800 billion. Bitcoin mining as part of the utility ecosystems will expedite the shift to renewables, and the genomic revolution will help grow food in locations other than Ukraine, which is in a lot of unrest in other areas where food production is not as ecologically friendly. So all we do is solve problems with innovation, Cathie remarked. She describes that we have a number of issues, and inflation is one of them. They don't believe that it will stay long, but if it does, one of the causes is a labor shortage. And she believes that artificial intelligence robotics can help address difficulties. In her words, she stated that if you look at the last 5 years, including the first quarter waterfall performance, the last 5 years we have handily outperformed the NASDAQ and S&P. The 5-year time horizon is not just looking back, but looking forward as well. And putting this recent performance into perspective, during COVID, whenever the market bottomed from April through February of 2021, their flagship strategy was up almost 360 from a down of 60. She is always thinking about her clients, and she is extremely gratified that for the most part, they've stuck with her last year. She went on to detail, and I quote, "Our net inflows were 17 billion. Most of that weighted at the beginning of the year, and so they have felt the full force of this decline. Yet we inflowed last year and we're inflowing this year. Cathie thinks that it has been a shock to a lot of her counterparts out there who have gone through periods like she has just experienced, and they have had massive outflows. She says that a few things are at work. Number one, their long-term time horizons is practically the first thing they say when they're talking to prospective investors. Number two, she says that if I were to have talked to you in February of 2021, at that point in time, given our projections for the next 5 years, we expected our flagship strategy to deliver a 15 compound annual rate of return, so about double the market over time. Now, after this decline, our projections have increased because artificial intelligence moves so much faster than we expected. Our expectations for future returns have gone up as the prices have come down. Consider the source. This is our research and these are our expectations. And we could be wrong, but whereas it was 15 last February, today it is compounding at 50. And it's because what we believe the market does not understand is we have entered the sweet spot of exponential growth trajectories. Most of the market thinks in linear terms. Most of our careers we've experienced primarily linear growth as well. Cathie describes that this type of growth slows down to the nominal GDP growth rate over time. She alludes to a few experiences with exponential growth, bringing up Amazon as an example. It's a very big one since as they were buying it in 2003, they kept telling investors that if they believed that this could grow between 20 to 30% in the next 20 years, they asked their investors, would they be interested to buy this? If you put that into a dividend discount model, you would buy that all day long. But that's not how people were thinking about it. Cathie says that as you're talking to them, you have to effectively retrain your investors. Those with the right mindset are trained over a decade or two and will have the mindset to expect the pop in short-term returns. The question she posed was that how does one retrain investors to focus on the long term, especially when there can be a lot of pain short-term? Cathie remarked that the market is going to train them over time. In her words, over the last 20 years, the market has outperformed the majority of investors. And this is a career risk. She says, and I quote, "We've had now a lot of benchmark hugging because it's been the right place to be. The market's right, the broad-based indices, and if we're right on the amount of disruptive innovation that is going to disturb the traditional world order, the broad-based benchmarks are not going to be the place to be now. They'll always be tried and true." She says that there are some stocks that are going to be able to weather all of the disruptive innovation that we see because they have great management teams. But so many companies in the broad-based benchmarks have gotten used to giving investors a little adrenaline with manufactured earnings, share buybacks, or increasing dividends. They've leveraged up to 2 of that, and they have not invested enough in innovation for the kind of innovation we see ahead. Lastly, she recommends that companies have to sacrifice short-term profitability and invest aggressively because we are in a lot of winner-take-most opportunities due to artificial intelligence. So if they're right, she believes that between now and 2030, this is the time for big ideas. The market cap associated with truly disruptive innovation is going to move from $10 trillion, which is less than 10% of the market, to $210 trillion. This might just happen in 8 years' time. Anyway, we hope that this video provides an in-depth insight on the future of crypto markets as described by Cathie Wood, one of the biggest figures in crypto today. Again, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon for future videos. Good luck out there!